Hi everybody, my name is Carrie and welcome back to another video. So I think earlier in the week, because I'm not 100% certain when this video is coming out, because if you guys notice I'm wearing the same clothes as in some other videos, you don't notice that, okay? Let's establish that right there. But I did, I think like a few days back, do a market overview of my October market, and I promised that I would do a market overview of my November market, even though some time has passed. But I wanted to make certain I got them done, and Vlogmas was like the perfect push for me to have that like motivation to get this type of stuff done, because I really was like, market overview. Do I do it? Do I not do it? Admittedly, we're gonna do it the old way I used to do it. There was a brief time where I was considering like kind of setting it up where I said, oh, well, I sold like 5 mallards, I sold 6, whatever. But then I realized that I'd have to go back through, read everything, write everything down, and that is just not happening right now. I have so many other things that I need to like do that are a little bit more important to me than just like formatting all that type of stuff for a YouTube video. So we're gonna do it the old style, which is basically, I'm gonna tell you guys what I sold in an order and how much I sold it for. Hopefully this can give you some insight as to what you could potentially sell your own crochet items for, but just know that people are gonna pay different prices depending on like locations, time of year, super important. So while you hear the pricing that I might sell a particular item for, just know that that might not be the same for you. I have had to play around with my prices so much over the year of crocheting. Like I feel like every single market I played with it. Like there were a few markets early on in the year where I debuted new items that sold out like right away. And then by the next market, I would increase it by maybe like $2, $3, and play around with the price until I got to the point where I was like, okay, this is a good price where it's selling, but it's not necessarily like disappearing like super fast. And I've done the same with some of my items that are like really expensive, but I really would like to move. I've like dropped the pricing down to try and find that good little sweet point where people are like, oh, this is worth it. So just know that while I might sell an item for a particular price, that might not be similar for you. It's just so dependent upon like so many variables that you can't even figure out half the time. So this particular market that I did was my last market of the year, and actually this was the first ever market that I did that was like an official market last November. So technically this market would kind of like signify like a year doing markets, like actual markets, not farmers markets, which is crazy. Like I can't believe that it has already been a year. Like to me, it feels like I haven't been crocheting that long. And like, first of all, to me, I can't believe that we're already at the end of the year. I feel like it was just literally like December, like a couple days ago. Like I can't believe that it's gonna be 2025 soon. I can't believe that I am now 24. It's crazy. I can't believe I've been doing this crochet business for like approaching a year and a half. And I can't believe like I've had my barn for as long as I've had. It's just, there's just like so many times where I'm like, oh my gosh, time can't be going by this fast. I only have so much time, but alas, it is. And so it was really good to go back to this market. Now granted, this is a market I go to reoccurringly. I have done pretty much, I think all of their markets this year that were like their actual markets. They do some small pop-ups throughout the year that for me aren't really worth it, so I don't do them, but I do like the main markets. So I think it was like April they had one, and then I think August they had one, and then November. So they had like a spring, summer, fall, spring, fall, winter market. There I go. I always get August confused because I'm like, well, technically that's still summer, but they consider that their fall market. So I did all of them this year. It's super close to my house. Like it's not a horrible drive for me, which always makes it really good because then I don't have to wake up like, instead of waking up at like 4 o'clock or 3:30 like I have for some of the markets that are a little bit further away from me, I can wake up at like 4:30, 4:20. So it's not as bad, especially considering that I always wake up in general at 4:45. So, you know, 4:20, 4:30 is really not that big of a shock to the system when you think about it. So it's really close. It can be a little bit of a pain to get set up at because it's in a street and the streets are super narrow. So I fortunately typically go early. That's kind of like that group that I get sent in, which is great because I would rather get there like really, really early and then just kind of sit around so I can like unpack everything versus getting like wedged in there with all these cars. And I always fear for my life that I'm gonna hit somebody because I suck at driving in certain regards. If there's like any type of stress, I like lock up and I'm like, watch out guys, I'm gonna nail you if you walk in front of me. So that's always a fun aspect of it. So this market was ran from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is pretty typical for, I think, every single market I've done. I think there was only 2 markets this year that I did that were like 12 to 5 or like 12 to 6, and they were the 2 summer markets that I did. But besides that, pretty much all of the markets have either been like 10 to 5 or 10 to 6. So pretty typical day. Like I said, I think I got there at like 7. I think I got there at 7 because I left here at 6:45. So I got there about like 7 o'clock. So nothing too bad. It was so cold though for my last market. It was so funny because if they had done the weekend before like they had the last year, it would have been beautiful. It would have been like 60, 70 degrees, sunny, so nice, no wind. But that week leading up to the market, the weather was horrendous. The wind was absolutely insane. We had like 40, 50 mile per hour winds that whole week. And that particular market day, it luckily was not as windy as it had been, but it was still like, I think it was like 15 mile per hour winds. And I was shocked because my crochet plushies always go flying when there's a breeze. One of mine ran off. But my poor neighbors next to me both did like wood stuff and like the sign stuff, and oh my gosh, their stuff was flying, displays were getting knocked over. So it was really windy and it kind of stayed breezy throughout the day until it got to like the middle of the day, which was nice. But then like by the time it was in the afternoon and we were like kind of getting ready to leave, the wind picked back up. So it was very exciting. I was just shocked none of my crochet plushies ran away because they typically do when it's windy, but they held it together. Thank goodness. This market is pretty similar to pretty much all the other markets I do in terms of pricing. Like I've said, I tend to do markets that are probably more expensive than a lot of crochet people would normally do. Like some of these crochet YouTubers I watch and I'm like, you guys are spending $60 on a market? Like, I don't even know if there's like markets at schools around me that do that cheap. So maybe it's just my particular area because I am kind of north of Atlanta that they definitely charge more. And that could just be because of the location. This location of this market would be considered in an area that does have a decent amount of money. So I guess that is something to figure in too. But the table was $220 for the day, which is pretty typical. I think pretty much all of the markets I went to this year, I spent about 200 and over, like 200 to 250 for the day. There was 1 or 2 markets that the summer markets where it was like 12 to 6, I spent 150. And then I want to say my May market, my first ever 2-day market, might have actually been the cheapest. I think it was like 125 or 150 for 2 days, but it was a drive for me. It was about like an hour drive, and it made it a lot more difficult for like the fact that it was 2 days. I had to hire outside help for 2 days. So that was like even more money going out. So it was just like, the table cost might have been cheaper, but between the hour-long drive to get there, so it'd be like an hour back, and then having to hire outside help for 2 days, I don't know if that like really translated to be like better than the markets where I spend $220 or $250 and I'm only at it for like one day and I make probably around a similar amount. So that was just, I think that was the cheapest one I did this year. But this is a market I do pretty regularly. I have a great group of people who show up every single market, who see me, and I got to see lots of them this market, which is great. I always love seeing people in person because, you know, I don't know how to explain myself. Like, I'm a loner for sure. I definitely like to be alone. But at the same time, if I'm in like person and if somebody comes up to talk to me, I will talk to you. Like, I'm not that shy. I definitely can carry on a conversation, and that just might be because of the years of being in sales from like a really young age. I was like 13 years old calling these like 40-year-old women to sell horses. So I don't know if that just helps me in general be able to speak to people, but I really do enjoy being at markets, seeing everyone, speaking to people. It's like a aspect of the business that I don't get to do very often. And even like with the stores, since I'm not physically there, I'm not like telling you about my products. And of course, as we all know, I never shut up and I yap so much on YouTube. So it's like, of course you think I like to hear myself speak. But I have pretty much everything written down on these 2 pieces or 3 pieces of paper. But what I'd always say, if you guys are interested in any of the patterns, I'm pretty certain I have almost all of these patterns linked in the Google Doc. So you guys can probably check it out there. And then if you're interested in like what a particular pattern might look like, what I would recommend is heading over to my website, because I'm fairly certain I have all of these items on the website with pictures. So if you're like, oh, I wonder what that one looks like, and you can't find it on the Google Doc, then you can head over to my website and see it, because I'm not going to be putting pictures up. I know some people do, but I have literally like all of the, like, the editing would kill me if I did it like that. So let's get started. The first thing I sold, which this was like super early, this was before I even set up. One of the guys who helps me unload my car came over and bought things for me. So the first thing I sold was a mini Winnie the Pooh for $20. Now I will say this particular pattern is not on the Google Doc list because I got it from Madeline Mayco's Patreon, so you will not find that one there. After that, I sold a rooster for $18. I sold a normal penguin for $20. I sold one of the newer style pigs that I've done that is kind of like similar body shape to like a loaf cat for $25. I sold a teal mini dragon. This is the deck style for $35. I sold a large cherry blossom cow for $50. I have had this cherry blossom cow for over a year. When the people grabbed it, I was like, oh, yes, because I have been trying to move old items, and I honestly have said this before. I plan to go through my box and find old items that I have and just take them out and then hopefully donate them to like a charity or somewhere close around me for like Christmas gifts or just gifts for little kids that don't have like stuffies and everything. So I'm planning on doing that this end of the year, because a lot of my boxes have items that like I don't really want to sell per se, and they're kind of older and they don't really fit with my brand anymore, because like I've got some like acrylic items and I just really don't do acrylic, and I really don't want to keep it in my box and like sitting in my house because somebody could like still love it and enjoy it. So I'm planning on doing that soon. So I sold that cherry blossom cow for $50. I sold a teal squid for $18. I sold a squid and then the baby alien for $33 together. The squid is $18, the baby alien is $15. I sold a purple turtle for $20. I sold one of the little fuzzy bees for $12. I sold a snowman for $40, which again, this was actually a snowman from last Christmas, so I was super excited for it to sell. I sold a possum for $12. I sold one of my ducks and like a float, and then a cat for $75 together. I sold a seal, a jellyfish, and a mermaid for $75. I've had that jellyfish forever, same thing. The mermaid I've had for a long time, and I think that was my last mermaid that I had. I go really back and forth about that pattern. Like, I think it's really cute, but it doesn't move super well. So it's something I'm gonna look into next year. I feel like I would need it in like the summertime, maybe, but I think like I made 3 of them and I only sold 3, but it took a whole year to sell them. And I still have more left over, of course. I sold 2 Grinches for 40 together. They were 20 each. After that, I sold a Grinch for 20. I sold a single alligator for 30. I sold one of the brown nose-so bunnies for 30. I sold a mallard and a chick together for 36. I sold a possum for 12. I sold one of the gingerbread men for 20. I sold a baby flamingo, a baby alien, and then a penguin for 60 together. I sold another Grinch for 20, and that was my last Grinch. I only brought 4 of each of the Christmas items because I honestly didn't know how they would sell, and I didn't want to make a ton and then get stuck with a ton. So I sold out of the Grinches very quickly. I think like if the market started at 10, I sold out of the Grinches by like 11:30. So that was really good because then I didn't get stuck with them. I sold a baby flamingo for 25. I sold one of my own cherry blossom cows for 35. I sold a Stitch for 65, and this was actually to a repeat customer who had contacted me when she saw the pictures on my Facebook page and was like, hey, I want to buy that. And I was like, I got you, girl. So I hid it behind my table. I had quite a few that I did that with. I sold a pop-up mushroom and a whale for 24. I sell the pop-up mushrooms for 12 and the whales for 12. I sold a poo for 65. And this was by Ren Meow. I sold a purple bunny for 30. I sold an orange and white loaf cat for 25. I sold a blue elephant for 50. This was another pattern that I have had forever, and I think it's been like a year. And once I sell the second one, I think I still have a gray one left. I might not. I think I do though. Once I sell that, I probably won't revisit this pattern just because I can't sell them. And I think that elephant was from Crochet Grove, I think. It was the standing up version though. I sold a purple turtle for 20. I sold a bluey for 65. And this pattern was from Madeline Mako. I'm not 100% certain if she has them for sale on Etsy, but I got mine through Patreon because I'm part of one of her groups. So I get that pattern every month. I sold a blue squid for 18. I sold a standing giraffe for 30. I sold a baby alien for 15. I sold another bunny for 30. I sold a penguin and a rooster together for 38. Penguin was 20, rooster was 18. I sold a fox for 35. This was a new item for me for this market. It was by Madeline Mako, so I sold it for 35. I sold a blue penguin and then a mini cat for 35. I sold a wolf, which same thing, this was from that same pattern the fox was from, for 35. I sold a mushroom, and then I sold my cloud cow for 47 together, and the cloud cow was from my original pattern release of my mini cow. So I've had that one for almost a year, and I was so excited that it sold because I always thought it was stinking cute because it had the sun hat, it had the clouds on it, but compared to all of my other cows, people typically would go for like a flower cow, but the cloud cow finally sold, finally. I sold a panda and a chick for 33. Panda was 15, chick was 18. I sold a stingray and then a shark for 32. The shark I priced at 20, stingray 12. I sold a lamb and then a whale for 42. I'm pretty certain I sell the lambs for 30 and then the whale was 12. I sold an orange and white loaf cat for 25. I sold a hedgehog for 30. I sold an axolotl for 18. I sold a mini panda for 15. I think this was like one of the few markets that I did where my pandas actually sold. Like they don't sell super well, but I sold quite a few this market. I was quite surprised. I sold a gingerbread man I sold a gingerbread man and a dragon, one of the mini ones, for 55. I sold a pink turtle for 20. I sold another gingerbread man for 20. I sold a pink turtle for 20. I sold one of my mini sunflower cows for 35. I sold a tiger for 15, a sloth for 15, a mallard for 18, a shark and then a piece of lavender for 28, and that was the only flower that I sold. Which was great because I kept going back and forth. I was like, should I make more flowers? But I didn't have time to make more flowers. And I was like, oh, what if I lose the money because I didn't have flowers, like a ton of them, but it was fine. I still had sunflowers, I still had carnations, I still had roses, and I still had lavender, and I only sold one. So I sold a piece of lavender too. I sold my last crocodile that I brought two with me for 30. I sold a gingerbread and a snowman for 40 together, and that was the only snowman I sold. So the Grinch is number one for me when it came to selling. The gingerbread was second, and then the snowman was last. I sold an axolotl and then a ladybug for 33, and I'm pretty certain the axolotl is 18 and the ladybug is 15. Don't quote me on that. I don't quite remember how much ladybugs are, but I feel like it's 15. I sold my only dog for 25. I sold another mini dragon for 35. I sold a penguin for 20. I sold an elephant for 15. A squid for 18. A baby alien and a turtle for 35 together. And then my last purchase of the day was a mushroom and a tiger, and that was 27. And actually, when I remember this, when I was packing up, I had 2 people buy things. So I can't remember one of them, but I do remember the second one was I think it was a pop-up mushroom. It was a small item, and the guy actually was the first person to buy from me. He bought the Winnie the Pooh, and he was a volunteer there, and then he came up when I was like packing everything up, and he was like, do you still have this? And I was like, yeah, let me go through my boxes. So when I was waiting for my car to come around, I sold him that. So I know I sold 2 things after, because I had multiple people coming up to me when they saw my boxes and were like, hey, can we still buy things? I was like, yeah, if you know what you're buying. Like, it's like, I can't remember. If you kind of tell me an animal, I can point you in the direction of it. But overall, it was a really good market. I have never had a bad day at this particular market. So even though the expense to get into this market is more than most people would probably spend on a market fee, for me it's very well worth it because I've always made like almost 10 times my table fee. Oh, I don't know if I'm right on the math, but I think I am. I think I'm correct, 10 times my table fee. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, I think I'm right. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, 10 times. I think 10 times. It's been a long time since I was in high school, guys. You can't tell I skipped grades, right? But overall, it was still a super good day. I love this market in terms of the people are super nice. My only complaint about this particular market is there are so many crochet people, guys. I'm talking, I think there was 4 or 5 other people besides myself, and for whatever reason, I always get put right next to a crochet person. There was one market in particular that literally my neighbor was a crochet person, and this particular market, I was like across the way, like across the street, 2 tents down was a crochet person. A little bit further, there was another crochet person. There was another crochet person. So there's a lot of crochet people at this market, which I would say is my biggest complaint because I definitely feel like they could curate it a little bit more. And then of course, this is also not a craft market. This is just a general market, so you get people that do resell items. Like, it's not like you have to make your items, so that's something also to factor in, but I have not seen any Temu resellers, luckily. There have been an occasional once or twice when I've been at the market and I kind of do a little look and I'm like, this looks a little, I don't know, a little sketch. But I don't think I saw anyone this time. Granted, I like literally was at my table the whole time. The only time I left my table was like to do the fastest sprint down the stairs, try not to bust my butt open, and go to the bathroom. Because I chug so much water at markets, guys. Like, I drink like 10 of them. Partially because I know I need a drink, and then partially because I have nothing to do, so I'm just like, pass me another one. Hit it again. Non-stop. So my main forms of payment were Venmo, Cash, and Square. I don't have the specific number, but I can tell you the range of what I sold because I know kind of like that range that I sold in, and so I can tell you guys that. I will say that I have been extremely fortunate that every single market I've done for this particular market has consistently been in the same money range for me in the end. I think my best market that I did this year was my May market, and I think that was really because it was just 2 days. So the Sunday pushed me over my best, because Saturday was pretty on par with like a normal market for me when I do this one. So that market in May, I think I made close to 3,500. I might have been kind of getting up on the 4,000 range, but this particular market I made, I believe, between 2 and 2,500. This has been a pretty standard number for me in terms of like the other markets I did this year at this particular pace. I did 2 to 25. I think one I might have gotten a little close to 3, but I don't think I did. So pretty typical for me to kind of get in that range with this market, which is why I say for me it's worth the expense of the higher table. It's also super close to me, which makes it super nice. And I get to see a lot of people. Like, I even saw some of my boarders who board their horses at my farm. They came out and saw me. So I just really enjoy this market. It's one of the markets that I am going to definitely carry over to next year, that I'll probably do all of them, I would say. But overall, I love this market. I had an amazing time. I can't believe it's already been a year, and I don't think I have anything else to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this market overview video, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day. Bye!